Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hello. Good day, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Yeah,
sir.
good afternoon. I hope you
Yes,
guys can hear me.
sir.
Yeah, afternoon. All right. So for what you guys have been doing so far, where have you guys been struggling with? What aspect have you guys been struggling with? Oh, it's not clear. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I say from what you guys have been doing, which area is not still clear to you guys?
Not entirely sure which area is not clear for others.
Okay. Okay, but for you, you're okay with everything.
For me, I think mine is just I lost track sometimes. Not that I don't understand.
Yeah. You see, when we see that, oh, data analytics, right? You see, it takes a whole lot because you have to also be committed to it. Because if you just listen to it and just say, okay, I'm attending it, and you do not practice it, there's no point, right? Because at the end of the day, for you to really go well with data analytics, it takes a lot of discipline, right? So that's why we see that even sometimes when we even get some courses like Udemy, Coursera, you see, we just accumulate them, but how many of us actually will finish it, right? So it's just discipline that we just need to ensure that we are following it. So even with just 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes, not even 1 hour, just even 10 minutes, right? At least let me just learn one thing every day for 10 minutes. You see, as you are consistent that way, there's a whole lot of skills. And the most important thing again is projects. Let us try to be building projects, especially in your own field, so that by the time you are done with the MBA, you have your degree and you also have a portfolio of projects that you can always show. So if you're in HR, you look for HR data. If you're in marketing, if you're in sales, you look for sales data and build projects around it. Okay. So you build maybe like 2 projects with Excel, in SQL, with maybe Power BI, with maybe Python, right? So just to show you can apply these data analytics skills in your own domain or area. Okay, but it takes a lot of discipline. Because if you say, oh, I will watch the videos, you will see that with work, family, you hardly have time for it unless you are committed to it. Okay, so let's just try and see. If you say you really want to go into it, okay, and again, most times without your portfolio projects, there's no day that you say, oh, let me sit down and do all the projects that you will never have that time. Okay. So just gradually, let's just be building it, right? Let's be building it gradually. But most importantly, is discipline and consistency. I think those are the 2 key things for you to excel in this area. Is that okay? So what we'll do, I know Kingsley has done a lot, but let's start with, let me just give an overview of it again so that So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. All right, so as a data analyst, right, there are basically three things that we do, right? One is to extract the data. Two is to what? Analyze the data, right? Before you analyze, it's assumed that you have already cleaned and transformed that data to analyze it, okay? Then the next thing we do is to what? Visualize it. All right. So most times what we have been learning so far, you'll be given an Excel file, a CSV file. Then you take that Excel file or CSV file, then you come here straight to analyze. So that Excel file or CSV file, you take it straight to analyze or visualize it. Okay. But most times this data is coming from somewhere. And in the organization, it's usually stored where in what they call a database. Right? In a database. So your job as a data analyst, once you understand your questions, the business questions you are trying to answer, the next question is, where do I get this data from? The data is in what? The database, right? So I need a way to what? Connect with this what? Database. So that's why to extract that data from the database, you will need what? To learn what? SQL. Okay. So SQL is the programming language that you use to what? Communicate with what? The database. Okay. Now the software that you use, the software that you are going to use is what we generally refer to as what? DBMS. Database management system. So it's the software. So the software is, for example, we are using MySQL. Okay, so that's the software. SQL itself is the language. Another one you see common in most organizations, you may also see is Microsoft SQL Server. Now, MySQL is easier to learn, but most likely it's also important you go and learn MySQL Server. Okay. Now, this MySQL is also Oracle, but it's like the free version. So you also have Oracle Enterprise version, right? So you can have Oracle 12C or 12 whatever version, okay? So this is the enterprise version. So either they use this Microsoft SQL Server or one of what, the enterprise version for the Oracle, okay? All right, I hope this is okay. So it is when we extract this data. So when you tell IT, please, I need data to analyze the sales from January to date. Okay. So what the IT people, the people we are calling the IT, they will go to the database, extract the data. So that extraction of data is what they refer to as query. They will query the data. And because most of this, your data will be stored in a proper table, is it not, in a structured format. Here's the name they call it, structured query language. So it is that data that they will get for you, save it as a CSV file and send to you via email. But the challenge most time is that if management need the reports maybe by Friday, right? And you don't have the data, it means you are at the mercy of whoever is going to extract the data for you before you can start your own job. Okay, so the only thing you just need, as long as, even if you are working in the organization, not everybody's, they will give them access to the database, okay? But you will need to be granted what some access, or privilege to get certain what data. It may not be the entire database, but part of the database, okay? So with your knowledge of SQL, right, you don't need to wait for them. The only thing you just need is access. So they can give you like an IP, right? They'll give you like an IP, maybe like a username and password. Then you go straight into the database, collect the database, and analyze it to do your reports. Okay, so that's why you see that SQL is very important. And when we are learning SQL, you are learning SQL as data analysts, not as database administrators. Okay, you are learning it as what? Data what? Analyst. So your job is to get into the database, know whatever is guiding you, right? There are certain questions you want answers to, right? You get into the database, collect the data, pick and clean whatever data you want, then you start your what? Analysis. So it starts from what? Extracting the data, analyzing the data, and visualizing it, which we are going to submit as well in form of what? A report. So those dashboards that we are building, right? They are the what? Reports. Okay, because this is what management will understand. These dashboards is what management will understand, right? And that's why it's important to know what they want. Because one critical skill that you will need as a data analyst is to learn how to what? Communicate. Because we are going to see that sometimes we focus so much on the technical stuff, right? The technical stuff. So most times you see when people are presenting it, they are saying, I extracted the data, I used Python, nobody cares what you did. The most important is, what did you find out? What is this thing telling us? Okay. So you don't always focus on the technical part unless you are discussing with a technical team, like a group of data analysts or data scientists. So you are communicating with them. But whenever you are communicating with management and your other stakeholders, where they are non-technical, okay, you will need to what? Simplify it and go straight to what you found out and why it happened. Okay, so that's why you see in analytics, there are basically 4 parts, right? But the first 2 is what happened, which we refer to as what? Descriptive analytics. Then the next question is, why did it happen? This is what? Diagnostic analytics. Diagnostic analytics. Okay, so this is mostly what you will focus on, right? At this stage, what happened and why did it happen? But beyond that, when you are now going to what will happen, so you are now going to the future, that's what we call predictive. Then what should we do to make it happen? That's what they call prescriptive, right? At this stage now, this is where mostly data scientists will now come into play. But if you identify, because sometimes you see there's a thin line between, in some organization, there's a thin line between what they call a data analyst, data scientist. You can say a data scientist, but it's only building dashboards. They can call somebody a data analyst, but it's building machine learning models. It's only a large organization that your roles are distinct. There's somebody whose job is just to clean, just collect that data from whatever source it is. They'll call that person a data engineer. Because without that data engineer, the data scientist, data analyst cannot work because they need the data. But that's why, whether you're a data scientist or data, you must learn how to what? Go and source for data. Okay. But if you want to just specialize in that sourcing of data, then that role is what they now refer to as what? A data engineer. Okay. So that's why it's important to just understand your role. So for now, what you'll be focusing on is what happened and why did it what happen. Okay. So before this will happen, you will need certain what questions that the management wants to have to answer. So based on the problem, you will learn how to what? Ask questions. That's why when you are doing your ABP, you're always questioning. You question and question. So you learn how to what? Ask the right question. Because when you ask the right question, it gives you what? The direction in which you need to what? Go. Okay. And sometimes in the process of analyzing the data, you even see answers to questions you did not even ask. Okay. So you must have those questions. So it's based on those questions to bring the answers to these questions. You now need what? The data. You now need what? The data. And to go to, where is the data stored? It's stored in the database. And to connect with this database, you will need to learn what? SQL. I hope this is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, good. All right. Now we are in the database, right? So we're now in the DBMS now. So for example, they say, oh, sales is going down, right? So generally the question you want to answer is, why is sales going down, isn't it? To answer the question of why, you need to now dimension it. You need to break it down, right? And those questions that help you break it down is, they call it the WWWH. Is it not? So it's about what? What? Is it not? When? Where? Which other one again? What? When? Where? What again?
Why?
Who? Why?
No, why is the general? Why is the general one?
Who?
But they now break it into what, where, when. There's another one again. What?
Who? WHO.
Who?
Who?
Who? Yes. And this H is what? How?
How?
Sorry. And this one is how. So for example, so to explain maybe why sales is going down, is it not? We'll break it down into this. What are they buying? Is it not? When are they buying? Where are they buying? Who is buying? How are they buying? Can you see that? This will now help you explain why. You get that? So you don't just be able, you are not able to just answer the question of why until you break it in this dimension and it now give you a holistic overview of why you think sales is going down. So this is what they could refer to as what? The dimension. So you need to what? Dimension it. So that's why whenever you see your tables, you normally break them into two parts: your dimension table and your fact table. Okay, your dimension is where you have the questions. Question of what, when, where, who, how. What are they buying? Which table will answer that question of what are they buying? That is like your product table, isn't it? When are they buying? Is your time or calendar, what they call your dates or calendar table. Where are they buying? It's like your geography, is it not? Or location table. Who is buying? Which table will answer this question of who?
Your customers.
Your customers. So you have your customers table, right? How are they buying? So it can be medium in which they are buying, whether it is online, offline, store, walk-in customers. So that's why whenever you see a table, try and break it first of all in these dimensions. What, when, where, who, how. Okay? So even when you are given a full table, a flat file, you will need to break them into what these different bits. Okay? You need to, so that when you are analyzing them, you cannot analyze them based on different what dimensions. All right? So it's based on this, you can now say, okay, let me go into the database, right? So now I am in the database, right? So I've entered it, so I've been given access. So remember that when you are setting up your database, you are going to have a username and you are going to have a password, right? In MySQL, what's the username? What is your username?
Roots.
Roots. By default is roots. They are going to be given a password, and you have a password there. Write that password down somewhere because later people will forget their own. Write it down somewhere. Okay. But another thing again, you also need to understand, if I come to connect to database, can you see host name, local host, username, can you see roots?
Yes, sir.
Do you see that? So your host name is because local host means because of this system. However, instead of using that, so if I come to server, Let me see server. Let me see client connections. Let me look for another way to get manage connections. Aha. So can you see host name? Where you are seeing host name as what? Local host, is it not? You can have your IP. Can you see the IP?
Yes, sir.
So because this is the local host, by default, this is your IP. 127.0.0.1. Which means if you are in the organization now, right? Because you are not using the server, they are going to create an access for you. So they can give you this IP, and they can create an IP for you that you are going to use to connect. Okay. So that's why you need to understand how you connect to that database. Okay. So just remember that your server name is what? Local host, or you can use the IP, and this is your default IP, 127.0.0.1. So either of them. Then you have your username and you have your password. Now, the reason why you must know this is that most times when we are going to do our reporting, especially when we are using BI tools such as Power BI or Tableau, you will need to first of all go to the database. You need to go and extract the data from the database. Okay. So you don't need to go through this. Right inside Power BI, you can connect it to your database. So that's why you must know what? Your server name, your username, the password, even the database. Okay, so that's why this thing is important. So write it down somewhere. So either you are using the server name, which is your local host, or the IP, 127.0.0.1. This is default, right? But if it's in an organization, they may create one and give to you. Then you have your username. By default, here, your username is root. In your organization, they may create your own for you. You may have your own employee ID with your own password that you can have access to that. Okay. Then you have the database you want to connect to. So there's a database you connect to. All right. So write that down somewhere. So now, let us now check. So now we have, maybe let's say we have got the questions now. So we want to enter the database. So the first thing I need to say is what? Show what? Databases. You see that? Which means show me all, I don't know what's going on. I'm looking for a particular database, maybe sales. I'm looking for my sales data. Okay. I don't know where it is. So as I enter data, I just say show databases. That's all. Okay. An alternative way of also doing this is to say, okay, show, not even show, you can use select star from what? Information schema. Information schema. Dot tables. Now, this will also give you a list of what? The database and their what? Tables. Can you see that? A list of the database and their what? Tables. Okay. Do you know what a schema is? Do you know what a schema is? When you say a schema. Do you know what a schema is? Do we know what a schema is?
Is schema not a list of the database that has been created on the SQL?
Yeah. So, for example, you see, this is administration. Can you see administrations? Can you see this one called schemas?
Yes.
So, a schema is a collection of all your databases. Can you see that? So, your schema is just like the database itself. So, information. So, you just say, give me information about all my schemas. So, this table schema can be your database, and this is the table name. Can you see that? So in one particular one, you can have several tables. So for example, you see vanity manufacturing. This is the schema. Can you see that? Vanity manufacturing. Can you see it here? This is the schema. Can you see that? Can you see the tables? This is the breakdown of all the tables. So these are all these. So this is the table, the database and the table name. So this is an alternative way of doing it. Okay. I hope we are clear. In most of the database DBMS, this will work. But show databases only works in MySQL. It may not work in Microsoft SQL Server. Okay. So I will just explain. Since most of us we are familiar with, we're already familiar with show databases already, isn't it? So when I say show databases, it will give me a list of all the databases, isn't it? So when I come down, say, okay, I'm looking for maybe sales. Okay, maybe I don't have sales. Okay, let's say I have what now? Okay, let's say orders. Is it not? So I'm looking for orders, is it not? So let's say orders. So what do I do? I'll say what? Use what? Orders. Can you see that? Use orders. Now take note when you are typing your SQL, you see when I'm writing it in blue, it means it's a reserved SQL word. Can you see that? When you see the text in blue, it's a reserved SQL word. When you see it in black, that means it's just a normal word there you are writing, right? But if I put it in quotation mark and let's say I say Francis, you see, because it's in orange, it means it's what? A string. That's a text, right? So take note of the colors. So blue means what? Is a reserved SQL word. When it's black, it means I can type whatever. There's not a reserved word. But when the moment you see it in what? Orange, it means what? Is a text. Is that okay? Is a text. Then always end your syntax in what? Semicolon. Right? It's just to show where it ends. Okay. All right. So let's go. So once I do that, once I type, I highlight it and what? I run it. Right? I run. So it's as if nothing happened. So what you will notice now is that you see others. Do you notice that now gotten black? It's now black. If I say, for example, maybe store, use store. So watch what will happen now. Have you noticed it? It means tell my SQL, go and use what? Stores. Put it in memory so that anytime I'm talking about database, you are talking about store. So if I come back here and say others, use others, it means that what? It will move now. You know, so anything I'm talking about database now, the one that is remembering is what? Others. Okay. So the next thing I will say, so that's a database, is it not? And remember, a database is what? A collection of what? Data, is it not? Which you can easily what? Store, is it not? Manipulate, isn't it? Retrieve, update. Okay. So a database generally a container that stores what? Data. Okay. But take note, a database is more than a table. So that's why when I open here, you see this is the database orders. When I break it down, you can see table, view, stored procedure, functions. These are referred to as what? Database objects. So a table is an object in the database. So that's why we can say that a database is like a table. But a table is hello? Is somebody asking a question?
No, sir. Guess it was a mistake.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. So most time, whenever we see a table, we think that that's a database. Yes, it can be part. So a table is part of a database, but not everything. You can also have, so under a database, you can have a table, a view, stored procedure, function. So they are referred to as what? Database objects. So that's why in something like Microsoft SQL Server, you have something like DBO. What does DBO stand for? What does DBO stand for? What does DBO stand for? Yes, quickly. DBO, what does it stand for?
Is it database owner?
DBO stands for what? I mentioned it just now. DBO stands for what?
Is it default schema?
DBO.
Is it database owner?
Database objects. Database objects. Okay. So a table is part of the database objects. Okay. So in Microsoft SQL Server, this is how you are going to be reading it. DBO dot. Maybe I'll show one example much later. But that's how you read it. Okay. So under the database, you have your tables. So can you see the table now? So the table is called others table. So if I want to see what is inside it now, so I'll say show what? Tables. Can you see that? So show me all the tables in it so I can see the table here, right? So others table. Now that I have seen the table, I want to now see bring out the content of the table. So I'll say select star from where? Others underscore table. And I'll run that. So can you see how it works now?
Yes.
You see how it works now? Good. So this is how you'd have done it, right? So I'll go into the database, show me all the databases. So I'll say show databases. So when I see the database I want, I'll say what? Use the particular database name. Once I'm inside the database, what I want to see is the tables inside the database. So I'll say show tables. Once I've seen the particular table I want, I'll now say select the particular what? Table. So even if you have not learned anything about SQL, these are the basic things you just need. But you see, most time, even when I want to select table, I don't want to select the entire huge file. So I want to select specific columns from the table. I want to select specific columns from the table. So list the columns you want to see, specific columns you want to see from this table now. So you don't want to select the entire table. So which columns do you want to see?
Order ID.
So you want to see order ID. Now take
Okay.
notes in your normal Excel, you call it rows and columns, is it not? Rows and columns, right? Now in database, right? Whenever you hear a row refers to as what? A record. The record. So when I say update the record, what are they telling you to do? Update the record. What are they telling you to do?
Update the row.
Update the row, isn't it? Update the row. Then when they say drop the fields, field is what?
Column.
Column. Your field is your what? Column. Okay, your field is your what? Column. Some others, they may call it attributes, right? But generally we call it field or attributes. Okay. So whenever I hear the field or the attributes, they're talking about what? The column. Okay, but generally we call it what? The fields. Okay, good. So when they say select the specific field, right? So we now know what they are talking about. So we want to see order ID. What again?
Order date.
Order date. Okay.
Customer name.
Customer name.
City and state.
City, state. What again?
Okay. Product name.
Okay, product name.
And profit.
And profit. Okay, good. Okay, maybe let me add quantity. Maybe quantity will be all right. So let's do this now, isn't it? So you see now what we are doing before, we'll select everything, isn't it? So this means select star. Select star means what? select all. You know, select all. Okay. Now I don't want all. I want specific. Isn't it? I want specific. So what do I do? Select. Right. So now I will select them specific names. You know. So I want what? Order ID. Is it not? What again do I want? Order date. What again do I need? Customer name. What again? City, state, product name, quantity, and what? Profit. Now take note, the last column, you do not put a comma there. So if I keep putting comma, it means it's going to be continuous, right? But now that's the last. So the last column, I don't put a comma there. Yeah. So where do I want to select it from? From where? Which table?
Orders table.
Orders table. Is it not? Orders table. Now, I hope we know why there's an underscore here. You know why there's an underscore here? Do you know the function of this underscore? Do we know the function of this underscore?
Yes, to connect. I mean, to connect two separate words together. But I was surprised that even our how do you call it now? When we are putting the order ID, order notes.
Yes.
Yes, I was thinking we were going to put the order score in those ones as well. I wanted to ask.
Yes. So that we are going to see that now, right? So we're going to see that. Whenever you are creating a database, by default, MySQL does not allow you to have a space. You cannot have a space there. Right? By default, it will not allow you to have a space. So rather than having this space, instead of putting a space, you now put what? An underscore. You see that? So that's why you can have orders underscore table. That's when you are creating it. However, when you are importing the data, you are importing it, and the spaces were already there, it will come in like that. Now let us run it and check. Let's run and check now. Will this run? Do you expect this one to run?
Let's see.
But in your mind, do you think this will run?
In my mind, I thought it will not run.
Okay. Does any other person think that will run? Or why do you think, okay, why do you think it will not run?
Okay, now I see it will run because under the output, that's already cleared it as being okay with the.
Right. So you did not put any star there, right? You didn't put any star there. Like bad, that is not working, is it not?
Yes.
So if I had put something like this now, what did you see there?
Okay, so that's the signal that it will not run.
So when I run it now, you see that was the problem. Now you see another thing again is that you see most of us, you see when it comes to programming, right, writing this syntax, so many of us, it's like, will I have to cram all the syntax? Is it not? Then go forbid there's not error. The error that it will give will be so scary that you don't even know where to start from. Isn't it? So the first thing is that what is more important is to understand what you are trying to achieve. Isn't it? So I want to select this table. Now it has given me an error. Sometimes you can look at the error. It doesn't make any sense because when you are reading it, you say, yeah. You try and read it and see, does it make any sense? It say line 1. So at least it has told me that the problem is coming from line 1. So I'll go to line 1. Okay, so this is where the problem is, line 1. Then you read it, you check again. This thing, I don't understand what is going on. But I know there's an error code. Error code 1 or what? Error code what? 1 or what? It gave us the error code, you know, say 1064, something like that, right? Okay, look at it, error code 1064. So if I don't know it, I'll just copy it. I'll just copy the entire thing. I'll just go to Google and go and dump it there, right? So it's going to take you to somewhere called what? Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow, okay? So Stack Overflow is where all your programming errors, whether you are a beginner or whether you are a professor, that's where everybody learns. So there's nobody that who will just see, that will just write all the codes and everything works correctly. No, there's stages to it, okay? So whether you're a beginner, whether you're a professor, that is where the solution is. But if your solution is not there, that means your problem is bigger than Stack Overflow, okay? That was the old way of doing it. Now, in recent times now, right? The new way of understanding your errors is what? Have we heard of ChatGPT? Have we heard of
Yes.
ChatGPT? Good. So you just copy it and go and dump it in ChatGPT. Tell me my error. See that?
Yeah.
Then ChatGPT will now tell you the error. But before you can go to ChatGPT, you must first of all know what you are doing. Because again, ChatGPT may also give you the wrong thing.
Mm.
Right? So that's why even if people are saying, oh, ChatGPT is going to take over it's not taking over anybody's job. Because it has not gotten to a stage where it gives you everything correctly. So even when you want to code, if you just say, write a syntax and you dump it there, 90% of the time is wrong. So your own job is first of all, understand what you need to do. Then you can now read it and say, okay, now you have given me a framework, I can now start correcting it. But if you don't know what it is, just give it and go and dump it, it's not going to work. Okay? So that's why when you put it there, you now check, okay, this is where the error is coming from. Okay, I can now look at it. It now makes sense to you. So that's why when you are learning, focus on the fundamentals first. Understand what's going on. So once you understand that, before you can now start going to the ChatGPT, which will now help you to become much more productive. Because you already understand what to do. So you can easily go there, know where to correct and run it. But that you will rely on it 100%, you are still going to make mistake. Because it always makes mistake. Is that okay? So these are now new ways of learning and correcting yourself. Okay? So now we have run that. So the first problem is that fundamental, right, is that a database does not allow spaces. Can you see that it does not allow spaces? Okay. So what do we now do? We now have to put it in quotation, inverted quotation mark. Now, not this. This one represents a text, not this. Okay. So if you look at your keyboard, you see there's this quotation mark here, right? Double quotation. This one is called double quotation mark, is it not? You
Yes.
have another one called single quotation mark, is it not? Then you have another one called inverted. You see that? Do we know where this one is? If you look at your escape button,
Under the escape button.
underneath your escape button, can you see it on your left of the one? In the figure 1, on the left of it, you see there. So this is what we are using. This is for normal text. Okay. But whenever you have space, it is this one that you use. So rather, what do we now do? We'll say select and we'll use this one. You see the color has changed now. If I have used orange, if you had seen, this is like is this maroon color? This is orange, is it not? You know, men, we have color blindness to us, so everything is red though. Women, what color is this? What color is this? To us, everything is red, but there are specific colors for it, okay? So you can see we have seen 4 colors now, is it not? We have seen blue, we have seen black, we have seen orange, and we have seen, let's call it red.
Yes.
So do we know what they represent? So whenever anytime it's in orange, it represents what? A text or a string. Whenever it's in red, it means that what? You have used what? The inverted what? Quotation mark, is it not? Or inverted commas, right? Then when it is in blue, it's a reserved SQL word. For example, if I put just a number there, if I just put a number, maybe 10. So because all these ones are already in text, so if I put a number there, you see it's like a red. But sometimes it doesn't always come that way, but because we have put it in quotation marks, so that's why I see it as a text. But if I put a number there, it now depends on the data type. So that's why in SQL, you must be careful about your data type. In SQL, how many data types do you have? How many data types do you have in SQL? Just looking at this, how many data types do we have here? Yeah, how many data types do we have? Hello.
3.
3, what are they?
We have string.
We have string.
Numeric.
We have string, yes. You have what? Numeric. What again do you have? What again do you have? String, numeric, and what?
I'm not sure of the third one.
Dates. Can you see that? So under your string, you have what? Your text or your variable character, varchar. Is it not? Under your numeric, you can have what? Integer, you can have your float. You know the difference between float and integer? You know the difference between your float and your integer? You know the difference between your float and your integer? Do we know the difference between your float and integer? Yes?
Integers are the ones that are without decimals. While the
Yeah.
float, they have decimals.
Exactly. So these ones are the ones with what? Whole numbers, right? Why these are the ones with fractions or decimal? Isn't it? Then you have your what? Date. And remember, in your database, your date should follow a particular order. How we normally write dates. So for example, what is today's date? What is today's date?
It's 21st, 5, 2003, 23.
2023. Okay. Now let's say, for example, we have maybe 03, 05, 2023, right? You know, as a date, you know that this is already a problem for you. You know that this is a problem. Do we know that this date is a problem already? And do we know why it's a problem? We'll put it that way. Now imagine you working in Lagos branch. Maybe your head office is in New York. You collect your sales data and you send to them. How did you read this? How did we read this? How do we read this?
Day, month, and year.
So we read it as what? 3rd of what?
Day, 3rd of May.
3rd of what? May. Which year?
2023.
Over there, how would they read it? In New York, how would they?
5th of March.
It will be what? March 5th, is it not? 2023. Are they the same thing?
Nope.
Same transaction, you are now reading it in different months. So can you see where the problem is? So that's why to overcome this problem, best practice, you put it in this format: year, month, day. Can you see that? So whenever I'm reading it, I'll be reading like it's 2023, 05, 21. So whichever one, year is always greater than month, month is always greater than day. In this order is universal. But if you put it in this format, you may have issues. If it's like this, even when you import it now, sometimes it may give you an error because it may not see that date format unless you go and change it to that particular format. But if I put it in this form, it is what? Universal. So whenever you are keeping dates, try and always keep it in this format. Is that okay? Always keep it using this format to save you stress. Okay, because one thing as data analyst, date is very important. Very important. So as much as possible, try and keep it using this formats. I hope that's clear. So those are the 3 data types that we have here. So we have strings, we have numeric, and we have dates, date time. Okay. All right, good. So we say rather than using space, we are going to use the inverted commas. So use the inverted commas. Inverted commas. Okay, so that's if there's space. Do you have any other space? Okay, product name. We have product name, space for product name. Okay, any other thing? No. So will this work now? Will this work now? Will this work? Will this work?
I think it should.
It should work, right? It should work.
Yes, sir.
Say enemies at work. So what's the problem now? So what's the problem now? Look at it. Tell me what the problem is. And at this stage, when you are learning, please, the more errors you have, I know some of us say, this thing will never work. You do. If I am typing it, right, and you are following the video or you are watching and you are getting it the same way I'm doing, you are not learning. When you learn is when there's errors. At least you now know what not to do. Okay. But as you are typing it and you are following the videos, you are typing, it's working. You are not learning anything yet. The time you actually learn is when you are making errors. So at least you will know what not to do next time. Okay. So I mentioned the error earlier. So what is the error here? Yes, what is the error?
I can't see your screen from Dr. Francis.
You can't see my
it's peculiar to me. Yes.
You can't
okay,
see
I can see now. I can see now.
Okay.
I can see now.
So look at this line here. What is the error? What is the error?
Okay, I think city and states are both still text. So we use inverted comma for two of them, and then we run it. Quantity, profits are. Let's see, let's show one.
You said city and state, they are what?
They are text.
They are text. So because they are text, what do we need to do?
Now we use inverted comma.
You use inverted comma.
No. It's inverted comma now.
All right. So take notes. I mentioned something here that when you are selecting your columns, we said the last column, what should happen? Look at the last column.
Don't use a comma.
So that's it now. Don't close it now, isn't it? Because it means it's continuing. Okay. So let's run it and check. So did it work now?
Yes.
Now let me show you that thing that you said that we use maybe because it's a text, so I put city like this. This is what you wanted us to do, right? Look at the
Yes.
application. If I do it like this, look at what will happen. You notice city all through. It's just like I go and put Francis. Can you see that?
Okay.
Show me Francis all through. Can you see that? So when you are selecting the column name, you do not use the only time you are going to use that is only if there is what? Only if there's a space. Right? Only if there's a space. That's the only time I'll do that. Such as this, but and this quotation mark I'll use. Unless there's something else I want to what indicate there. You get? Unless maybe, for example, in that particular table, I want to say maybe east. I want to select only the particular region. So east, I want to show that that table is just for east. Then everything will just be there, east. Can you see that? That's the only time it happens. Otherwise, you don't do that. All right. So these are the basic things that we need to learn, right? How we go into the database, look at the tables, select the entire table, select specific columns from the table. Is that okay? Select specific columns from the table. All right. I hope this is clear.
Yes, it does.
Clear? All right. So what again have we done so far? So what again have we done?
So we'd be able to create a table and we'd be able to populate.
Okay, you need to create table.
Populate.
All right.
Yes.
So if you remember what I said, that most times as analysts, you may not always have to create the table. Right? Your own job is to what? That table somebody else has created it, right? Your own job is to go and extract it. Is it not? Your own job is to go and what? Extract it. Is it not? Your job is to go and what? Extract. So you don't necessarily always need to what? Create the table. But if you want to create the table, you can always what? Do that. So you know how to do that. So create what table? They now select.
Yes, I think we've done extensively like 2 sections.
Yeah.
So I think we've had like 2 sections on that. We are now more. I mean, the last time we were more into how to join, left join, right, having a right join, be able to, yes. Then what other? So we are more like maybe today we'll be able to individually, we'll be able to carry out some tasks, some assignments on our own, something like that. So
Yeah.
where you want to start.
That I just want to see what other aspect you guys that is not clear that you want to learn so I can go over it for you.
Okay, so for me, I would have loved if we can have a kind of refresh to insert database, an existing database to the workbench. Okay, so I already have an existing database that I've worked on in Excel, and now
you want to import that in the SQL, right?
Yes, I want to import that in the SQL. Now,
Okay.
maybe we can then have a further a quick review on the join, right?
On the join. Okay.
Yes, on the join, to be able to join multiple tables. You'll be able to look at the collecting fields and carry out my
data
manipulation.
That's okay. At least you have an idea of what you want. Okay, that's good. So let's say, for example, I don't know what table you have. What's the name of the table that you have?
We're working on students.
Can we share your screen? Let us see what you have.
My system logged out. You could notice I was struggling to join the class. So I'm trying to do my.
Okay, that's fine. So there's one thing we need to understand there. Before we import the data, right? So most of the data, so is the data, the file you want to import, is it an Excel file or a CSV file?
Yes, assuming currently an Excel file.
It's an Excel file. Your first step is to save it as a CSV. Because my SQL does not understand the Excel file. It only understands CSV. Is that okay? So once I have saved it as a CSV file, the next thing I will want to do is to now say, okay, that I will now create a database for it. I'll have to create what? A database for it, right? So once I've created the database, then from there, I will now have to what? Select the particular database and import it. Okay, I will now select the particular database, then I will now what? Import it. So that's basically what we are going to do. Okay, so let me look for a file that we can use. Let me see a file that we can use. Let me see sales data. Let me see sales data. So it's already CSV. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I think this one is it. You know, let's use our okay, convert to table. That's fine. So let me create a new one. Sorry. Okay, let me share this one. So look at this. Can you see this data? You can see this data like this, right?
Yes, it's still sharing. Yes, I can see now.
You see, this most times is an Excel file, is it not? So what the first step you are going to do is to save it as what? A CSV. So I'll save it as a sales. So let me call it sales. Is it not? Sales. But I'm going to save it as what? A CSV. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
So I'll save it. So this sales is called sales, is it not? So I'll save it. Now, another limitation is that because this file is too large, so it doesn't take time. Because sometimes that's another limitation of all this open source. It may take some time. So let me just make it small so that I can see how it works. So it doesn't take time. Because
Okay.
a
Sir,
file
sir,
like
can you also share this Excel file? Sir,
okay,
if possible,
okay, let me
upload this.
create a new place, save it here. Okay, so let me save it. So sales. So let me stop sharing. Let me see if I can share it to you guys. So I've shared it on the chat, right? I've shared on
Okay. Thank you, sir.
the chat. So you see that file I have shared to you is an Excel file, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's an Excel file. So the first thing you want to do is to save it as what?
CSV delimited.
A CSV. So I'll come here and change it. Is my screen sharing? Am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I will save it. You know your shortcut to save is F12, is it not? So save as, I'll now save it as what? CSV and say save. Do you want to replace? Yes. Okay.
Command delimited. Okay.
Use that first one. All right. So save as a CSV file. Because I already have it there. Save. All right, good. So I've saved it as a CSV file, is it not?
Yes.
All right, good. So let's go to my SQL. So now I don't have any data. Do I have any database called sales? Do I have any database called sales?
You can check.
Yes. So there's nothing like sales now.
No,
is it
no.
not? So
No,
the
yes,
first
no.
thing I'm looking for sales. It doesn't exist. So what do? I will create it. Is it not? So create what? Database. What the database called? Sales. Can you see that?
Yes.
So I'll now run it. Can you see that? It's as if nothing happened, is it not? When I click refresh now, do you notice your sales has come? Can you see sales?
Okay.
Can you see sales now?
Yes.
Good. So I can come here and say, okay, is a table I want, is it not? So I'll just right click and say what? Data table data import wizard. Can you see that?
Yes.
Table data import wizard. Then I'll go and look for it. It must be a CSV file. Can you see your sales here? So I'll say open. It will take me somewhere, but I'm not sure whether you will see it now. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it.
So once I've selected it, I'll say, okay, next. So what this is the table, this is the database name, this is the table name. So what should I call it? Let me call it sales table. Sales is the database, sales table is the table name. Is that okay?
Okay.
Are you following now?
Yes, I am.
So I'll say next. I'll look at all the types here. I can see all the types now, right? So integer, double means what? Double means what?
So there's a decimal, right?
It's decimal. So just like your float. It's called double. So I say, okay, this is data that I want. Okay, this is data that I want. All right, so next. So finish. Now, can you see that? 38 records imported. Do you see that?
Okay.
38 records imported. So I'll finish. So I'm done. So let's go back. Now, but you see, the problem is that if you go and use the entire database, sometimes it can take you 5 hours to import that data. So that's another issue with it. It's very slow if you use this one. All right, so let's see. So now, what is the name of the database? What is the name of the database?
Sales.
What's the name of the table name?
Sales table.
Sales table. If I have said select star from sales, will this work? Select star from sales, will this work?
Yes, it should work.
Why do you say it will work? What is the table?
Okay, it should be from sales table.
Sales table, is it not? Sales table.
Yes, iPhone table, yes.
Will this work?
Yes.
Okay, so if I run it, it says table does not exist. Why is that so? Why is that so? Why does it say it doesn't exist?
Have we? Okay, we have not we've created sales, but we've not created.
Look at that. If I refresh it here, you can see sales table here now.
Yes.
So why does it not work? Remember, which schema is reflected now? You see the dark ones. Which one is this? Remember how you know the one that is the database that is active, it will be dark now, isn't it?
Yes, order.
Order. So that's why sales table is not inside orders. That's what you are seeing the error. Can you see that? Orders.sales table does not exist. So that's why another way of learning it is that you must always call the database name first. So it will be select star from what's the database name?
Orders.
The database name. Where this your sales is now.
Is it store?
We created a database first now before we put the table inside. What was the database we created?
This.
Sales, is it not? Under
Yes.
which table is inside it?
Sales table.
Sales table. Can you see that now? So with this, I can call it anytime. You see that now? So I can now run it now. And that's it. So that's why it's just like, for example.
But Dr. Francis, sorry.
Yes.
Now, we have create the database sales.
Yes. Yes.
If I select, it says select sales, select all sales.
Yes.
And yes, let's select all sales from sales, okay?
Yes.
Right, and I end that query there.
Yes.
Then I come down to say select from sales table. Would that still work?
No, sir.
Would that run now?
No, sir. This is a database. This is a table name. You get?
Okay.
You don't sell. So the only time you can use it is when you call it like this. So it's just like, for example, so your name is Joshua, right? Joshua. So if your mother calls you Joshua Adeyemi, what does that mean? When she calls you your full name, Joshua Adeyemi, what does that mean?
That's my name. I must have committed something.
You must have committed problem, is it not? So they don't, if you are friendly, they say Joshua. But when you say Joshua Adeyemi, how many times did I call you? You know you have entered problem, isn't it?
Yes.
Joshua, what is your middle name?
Oluwafemi.
Joshua Oluwafemi Adeyemi. What does that mean?
That's a warning.
That means you have even entered a bigger problem, isn't it?
Yes.
So the same way, you will tell this table, call the son name first, is it not? So the son name now is the database name. The table name itself, right? Because you know in a family, right, you can have different children. Is it not? So those are your different tables. So your database is the family name. The table names are now what the different what children, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's why whenever we are calling, we'll call the database name first. They will now call the what table name. But if there's now bigger problem, hey, you now have to now even call dot the column name. There's no problem has entered. So for example, we can now say order ID. Let's say order what ID. Let's say order ID. So what have we done here now? What have we done here?
We are also calling the other ID.
We have called what? The son name, the middle name, the first name, is it not? So whenever there's problem, you call the entire name in full. SQ will know that there's big problem here. So let me quickly answer him. Okay. So that's not how we normally do it. So that's why you don't just call only the son name alone. You have to call the name and the what? The son name and the name. So this database and the name itself. So that's why whenever we are picking it, we can call it this way. So irrespective of whether we are in that database or not, we can enter the table. But if you are just said select from sales table, the reason why it's not working is because the database we are using is what? Orders. But if we are said use order, use what? If I say use sales, isn't it? If I say use sales, what has happened now? Do you notice it has now switched from orders to sales? Do you notice that?
Yes.
So now if I call select from sales table, you now see that it work.
I see.
You see the difference now? But best practice, always use this. Best practice, always use this. I hope you are clear with this.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is the easiest way of importing, but there are other methods you can also apply. But this is one of the easiest way to do it. Okay, then you mentioned what again did you say you wanted to?
Yes, I said I wanted us to see how we can join.
Join, okay, join, okay, joins, okay. Joins, okay. Now, let's look at this joins. Let me see how to explain joins for you. Okay, let me go to Excel and explain it first in Excel. Joins. Joins. Okay. Okay, let me use this one. I think this table will be okay. SQL joins. Okay, look at this. Can you see these two tables? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, can you see these two tables now?
Yes.
One is on the left, one is on the right. Can you see that?
Yes.
One is on the left, one is on the right. Let me take that out. Okay. So this is my left table, this is my right table. Okay, good. You know, for example, if I wanted to extract maybe I wanted to extract I want to take Lagos. I want to put Lagos here, is it not? In Excel, how we have done it in Excel. I want to extract this state's name and put it on this table. How will you have done it in Excel?
Yes, I can copy and insert if it's not a very big.
So if it's a very big table, now how we have done it? If it's a very big table,
I can use VLOOP.
you will use what?
VLOOP.
Eh? You
I
said you
can use VLOOP. Lookup.
VLOOKUP, right? So it will be equals to VLOOKUP. What am I looking for? Country ID, is it not? Where am I looking for it? Where am I looking for it? Here, is it not? Comma.
Yes.
What do I want to extract? Which column do I want to extract?
State name.
That's the second column now, is it not?
Yes.
Something like this. Is that not how you'd have done it?
Yes.
Good. So we have now brought two tables together, is it not?
Exactly.
Where they intersect. It will bring it out for me. Can you see that?
Yes.
So this is how you do it in Excel. Right? So I want to what? Join two things together. But only in Excel, we work with column by column. But in SQL, you are working with tables. Is it not? So when I want to bring the two tables together, what I'm now doing is what? A join. That's exactly what VLOOKUP is doing. VLOOKUP is actually also doing a join for you, but on a single column. But join is now doing it for what? I want to bring the two tables what? Together. Can you see the difference now? So what you are doing as VLOOKUP is only to bring in one column. That's actually join it on this table. But I don't only want this only column. I want the entire table together with this to join it on this what table. Okay, so let's bring it together now. Okay, so let me call it consolidated. Let's say consolidated table, isn't it? So this one on the right side. So let's start with the first one. So I have these columns. I have country name, country ID and country name. So I want to merge it with what? This one. Isn't it? So this is what we want to do now, right? So I want to bring them together as one. So let's take the first one. Country ID 1. What's the country name?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Do I have it in the other table, in the state table? Do I have it in the state table?
No.
Do I have it in the state table?
No. Country name is not there.
When we did VLOOKUP, did you not collect? Did you not pick it?
Yeah, it picks country ID.
It pick country ID now, is it not? So
Yes.
there's country ID here. So there's something that matched together.
Yes.
Because that was VLOOKUP was doing for you. But now, because we are selecting the entire table, because it has seen where it has matched, then I can also pick this one because it's also there. Then I can also pick this one. It's also there. Can you see that? Did we get this first one?
Yes.
Good. Let's go to what's the next one?
2.
2. Are we done with the first one? Are we done
Yes,
with the first one?
Yes, we are done. We've connected all the database.
Now,
All the information.
you see one here. Do you see one here again? Do you see one again?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it? So which
Yes.
means what is going is you just go look for all the 1, extract for me. Look for all the 2, extract for me. Look for all the 3, extract for me. Look for all 4, extract for me.
Mm-hmm.
You see how it's doing it?
Okay.
It means it's not yet done, is it not? So I'll pick the second one again. 1. What's the country?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Which is the same thing I have here. 1 here, is it not? So that's seen as Nigeria. But in the other case, the state ID is now what?
2.
2. And what is the state name?
Abuja.
Abuja. So are we done with the first one now? The country ID, country ID 1.
Yes, sir.
Good. So we'll go to the next one. Country ID what? 2. What's the country name? What is country
Ghana.
name? Ghana. So I'll now go to the last table. Can I see anything as country ID 2 there?
Yes, 2.
2, is it not?
That's the
What's
third.
the state ID?
3.
Can you tell me the state name?
Accra.
Accra. Can you see that?
Okay.
Good. So let's go to the next one. Which is the next one now?
4.
4. What is the country name?
Yeah.
So let's go to this table now. Do you have any country ID?
Yes.
Which one?
No. No.
So does it match?
No. Does not
So it
match.
doesn't match.
You can't connect it.
So you can't connect it, is it not? Which other one? Okay, let's look at 3. Do you have 3 in this one?
No, we have 2. We have country ID.
We have what? So there's nothing like 3 there, is it not? On
Yes.
country ID. There's nothing like 4 on country ID, is it not? So this
Yes.
is the only 2 things that match exactly. Is it not?
Yes.
So where this on the left table matches exactly what we have on what? The right table, is it not? So this is referred to as what? And inner, it's called what? Inner join, or what you refer to as your what? Your join. Does it make sense now? Does it make sense?
Yes, sir, it does.
So that is why they will use a Venn diagram to explain it. Can you see that? This is your country table. The other one is your what? State table. Can you see where they match exactly? You see where they match exactly? This is referred to as what? Your inner join. That is exactly what you are seeing here. So can we go and build this in SQL now? You understand what's going on here now, right?
Yes, I do.
So let's go to SQL and do this now. Because you see, as data analyst, this is a very important skill you must learn. Because most times your table is not just in one place, right? You have your table scattered everywhere. So you must look for how to what? Relate these tables together. Hence the name relational database. So remember those our question of what? Who, what, when, where, how, is it not? They are all different tables, is it not? We have to look for how we are going to what? Connect them. Okay, so let's go. So we're looking for country. So let's say, do I have any table there for it? Country. Okay, I have countries. Okay, good. I have countries. Okay, good. I have it here. So can you see countries? So I want to bring in these 2 tables. How do I check the 2 tables? Country table and state table. How do I bring it out?
Select.
Select what? Select what? Select what?
Okay, tables dot country
Select what?
select all.
Star.
Yes.
From where? From where? First
From
call
country.
the surname. Call the surname first. Who is this? What is the surname? What is the surname?
That's
Countries. You know, that's
countries.
database.
Yes.
Dot. What's his name now?
Country table.
Country table. Can you see that now? So I'll now run it. So that's what we have, isn't it? So I want to call the second table now. So second table is what?
State table.
State table. Can you see that now?
Okay.
Good. What does null mean? When you see null, what does null mean? Does null mean error? Null, what does null mean?
No information, right?
No, means empty, blank.
Empty, yes.
It's blank. It doesn't mean error. Okay, good. So we have seen the first table. country table. Now we have seen the second table called state table, is it not? So we want to bring it where the two of them meet together, is it not? But before you go there, ask yourself, what is connecting country table with state table? So let me copy this out. So copy all field names. So let me do that. Good. Let me go to the next one. Let me copy all field names out. Now, can you look at it and tell me what is connecting the two tables together?
Country ID.
Country ID. So I can say I can connect what? Country table with state table. Is it not? Through what? Country ID. So there's a relationship, isn't it? There's what? A relationship. Good. That is the first step you must do. Ask yourself, what is relating these two tables together? Okay. So that is why most times what they do, they will draw a schema. They will draw what they call, they will draw a table like this. You hear things like star schema. Have you heard of star schema? Draw something like this. Draw something like this. They call it what? A star schema. Or we call it what? Entity relationship diagram. So let's say, for example, this is your sales data. I want to relate it with my customer. I want to relate it with my product. I want to relate it with my location or my branch. Remember, those are our questions. Who? What? Is it not? Where? We are now relating it with this table. This is what they refer to as what? Your star schema or your entity relationship or diagram. Or generally, we refer to it as what? Your data model. It's called what? A data what model. So what will be the relationship between customer table and your sales table? What will be the relationship between them? What is that thing that will connect your customer table with your sales table?
Like
What will be
customer
that?
ID.
Customer ID, is not? We have customer ID.
ID, yes.
So this line you are seeing here means there's a relationship between these two tables, and it's what? Customer what? ID. Can you see that? Your product table and sales table, what's the relationship between them?
The product ID.
Product ID. So product ID, that's the relationship. Can you see that? So that's how you build it. So it's called what? Your star schema, or you hear entity relationship diagram, or they call it your data model. Do you see that? When we are doing Power BI, we'll call it data model, right? In databases, we call it enterprise entity relationship diagram, because each of them are referred to as what? Entity, and you're looking at their what? Relationship. And this is usually referred to as what? A one-to-what? Many relationship. Because your customer table, you can only have one unique customer, but you can buy many times. Do you see that? Your product, you can have one unique product, but they can buy it many times. So it's called what? So the kind of relationship you expect to see is what they refer to as what? A one-to-many what? Relationship. Is that clear? So which means if I was to draw this diagram now, how will I draw this diagram now? If I was to draw this the entity relationship diagram, how will I do that? So we have countries, you know, and I will have what? States. Is there a relationship? Is there a relationship between them?
No, for now.
Is there a relationship between these two tables?
There is still country ID.
Yes, now, so that means if there's a relationship, that's when I will now draw the diagram, is it not? So there's what? Country ID here. And there's also what? Country ID here, which means there's a relationship. But if you don't see that, if you don't see this thing here, it means that what? There's no relationship. Okay? So that's the first thing you look at. Is there a relationship between these two tables? So that's why when you are analyzing data, nobody will tell you how they are related. So your own job is to think about it. So if I want to answer this question, I need all this data. Where can I find them? Oh, they may be spread in different databases. Is it not? So my job is now to go and pick them from these different tables and bring them in one place. But I must ask myself, how are they what? Related. All right. So let's go. So the same way we have been doing it. So let us use all of them. So select star from, let's say, countries dot what? Country table, is it not? So that's my first table. Right. So what do I want to do now?
Join.
I want to join it, is it not?
Yes.
I want to join it. Okay. So I'll say what?
Join.
Join, is it not? Or I can say inner join. Inner join what? Inner join what?
Select or again from.
Now I don't need to say select all again now. I don't need to say select all again now. It's just like saying, for example, select star. It's not, so I want to select everything from this table.
Okay,
It's not.
so inner join country state table.
Yeah, you now call the name of that table.
Okay.
You now call the name of that table. Is it not?
Countries dot.
The second table, is it not?
Yes.
This is the first table, country table. Now we want to now inner join what?
The state table.
Countries dot what?
State table.
Table. How do you want to join it?
On-
How do you want to join it?
In country ID.
On
Country ID, okay.
now country what?
ID.
Country what? ID equal to what?
Equal to
The same country ID now. Is it not? They must
country
match.
ID. Yes.
They must match. But remember that you can see I have country ID here in countries, is it not? In countries table. So if I say this is coming from countries table, right? Or if I say this is coming from countries, what? Where is it? Countries. So one is country table now. So country underscore table, is it not? Country underscore table dot country ID, is it not? Why the second one is coming from where? State
Underscore table.
or table dot what? Country ID. Can you see that now?
State ID.
Yes. You see something like this now?
Okay, okay.
If I run it like this, watch. If I run it like this, did it work?
Mm-hmm.
Did it work?
Yes.
It worked now, isn't it?
Yes, it does.
Because it matches. But now see the problem here. If I decide to go and say join country ID equals to country ID, let's run it now. Do you see what it's telling you?
Mm.
You see the error? What does the error say? What did the error say?
It said clause is ambiguous.
Ambiguous. So when you say something is ambiguous, what does it mean?
It's not clear. It's
It's not
too.
clear, is it not? Because I have country ID here, I have country ID, but I don't know who you are talking about. So that is why best practice, call it in full. So I would have said countries dot what? Country table dot country ID. Can you see that?
Okay.
Call it in full so you know that there's problem. Countries dot what? State table
Underscore table.
dot
Country ID.
So this is how you are going to be writing it in full. So in case there's problem anywhere, you know who you are talking about. So you have called the country, the database name, the table name, and the column name. Now is specific. It cannot be ambiguous now. Then I will now run it. So this is called your what? Inner what? Join. So if I remove this inner and I just call it join. So let me do another one. So if I remove this inner and I just call it join and I run it now. Can you see that it's the same thing?
It's the same thing. You said it again.
So if I want left join, it's the same thing. I'll say left join Left join. Can you see left join?
Yes.
So that's left join. Can you see that? Join it on the left side of the table. Can you see
Okay.
that? If I want right join, what do I do?
Now, so left join now is saying,
Yes.
give me the union between the two.
On the left side, just on the left side, put everything on the left side. If it's there, give it to me. If it's not there, put it as null. That's exactly what you are seeing there.
Hmm.
So if you go 1, 2, 4, if there's nothing there, give it blank. If I go on the right side now, let's go on the right side. Remember on the right side, we had California there,
Yes.
but you did not see California. So let's bring that now. So let's say on the right side of the table. On the right side of the table. So let's see it on the right side. So you see on the right side now, can you see California now on the right side?
Let's see.
Aha. However, in practice, most times, right, what we use is either the inner join or you can use the left side. Although it depends on what you want, right? Depends on what you want. In some instances where you now want, maybe for example, they want everything in that table. Maybe you now want everything, but if you want everything on that table, it doesn't make any sense because you still have to go and start cleaning again. Okay. So there's something they now call maybe full outer join, but full outer join is just like you bringing the entire thing together. Okay. They call it full out, but in practice, however, it is just that your inner join or your left join that you usually use. Okay, so that's what normally we would have used. And again, you can even combine as many tables as you want. So for example, let's look at another table. Maybe you have maybe 3, 4 tables. Let me see which. Okay, let's say vanilla manufacturing. Aha. Or let me say simple table. Okay, awesome chocolate is simple enough. Aha, good. If I want to read this table, awesome chocolates, how do I read it? This table, awesome chocolate. This table, geography, people, product. How do I read it? How do you read it?
Okay. So I will use, I said select
Yes.
all.
Select all.
Awesome chocolate.
From what? Awesome chocolate, is it not?
Yes.
I want to read geography. So how do I read it?
I will say .geo.
Exactly. .geo.
And
Let's run. Now you see, I cannot just leave the space like that. Will it work?
no.
So what do? I will have to close it. Is it not?
Yes.
And I'll run that. Good. So can you see? So let me select all fields so I can see the field names quickly. The next one, what will the next one be? What will the next
Chocolate dot
one?
people.
Aha. So the next one will be dot what?
People.
People. So I'll run that. So can you see that? So I just right click all field names. Let me have that there. Good. What's next one?
Product.
Products. Products. Okay, let's run that. Okay, so let me copy that. Okay, what's next one?
This.
Sales. Good. So let's run that. Good. So I can run that now. Copy. Good. So you now look at it. How will I relate them together? How will I relate them together? Right? How do I relate them together?
Okay,
So you know that your table should break them into 2 parts. There's the one you call what? Your fact table. Is it not? There's the one you call your fact table, and there's the one you call your what? Dimension table. Is it not? Do you remember your dimension? Those questions on our dimensions. What are those
yes.
questions? Question of what?
When I mean, how? Yes.
Yes, when.
Where?
Where. When, where,
What?
what, which other one?
Who? Did we just? Yes.
Is it not who? So these are our dimensions, right? Where, which table we answer question of where? Which table we answer the question of where?
Geo.
Geography, is it not? So I have what?
Yes.
Geo here. Which question we answer question of when? When?
The sales should be able to answer it.
Sales, but you see, we want to answer
Yes.
sales, that's the answer now. But the question, when do they buy? For now, we cannot see the data here, right? We don't have any
Yes.
particular table to answer that
Yes.
question. So that's why most time you usually go and create your own. When you get to Power BI, you do what they call calendar table. It is that calendar table.
Hey, Dr. Francis, I can't hear you again.
That will help you answer that. So normally you have to create
Okay.
that. But the question of what?
What?
Yes.
That's product.
Product, is it not?
Yes.
Product. Okay, product, your product or table, is it not? Your
Yes.
product table. So this will be your what? Product table. Then question of who? Which table we answer question of who?
People product.
Your people. Can you see that?
Two tables, sir.
Your people. So these are the questions. You know, so these are your question of what? Where, what, who, is it not?
Yes.
And the facts, which table which is your fact table? Your fact table is what? This is where you have your questions. Your fact is where you have your answers. So which table we have all our answers now?
All of them. Oh.
There's a particular table that we answer everything.
That should be sales.
Sales, that's your sales. So your sales table, they are your what? Fact table. Why all these other ones are called your what? Dimension table. Then I will now link them together. So what's the relationship between geography table and sales table? What's the link between geography table and sales table?
Geo ID.
Geo ID. Can you see that now? So there's a relationship.
Yes.
What is the relationship between product table and sales table?
Product.
Product ID. So there's a relationship. What's the relationship between people table and what? Sales table?
SPID. Which is
PID.
people.
So this is what? Geo ID. Is it not?
Yes.
Geo ID. This is what? For product is what?
For product is
PID, is it not?
PID, yes. PID.
And for people is what?
SPID.
SPID. SPID. So with that, you now know how to link it now, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
You now know how to link it, right?
Yes, sir.
So what you will now do when you're now typing it, what do you now type? So if you want everything, you can type everything. But most times in practice, you don't usually use everything. You select the specific columns that you want. So let's say, for example, I can say select. What are the column names I want? Okay, I want to see geography. I want to see the geography. I want to see the region. Is it not? I want to see the team. I want to see what? The location. Can you see that? I want to see what again? The product. And I want to see what again? The category. Maybe I want to see the cost per box. Is it not? Say cost
Per box.
per box. What again do I want to see? I want to see the amount. I want to see what? The boxes. Boxes. Good. From where? Can you see that? From where? From where? So I'll first select the first table. Okay, so which table is the first one? So let's say from where? So I'll have what? Awesome. So let's take from sales now, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. From where, is it not? This, is it not? Then what do we do? Inner join. Inner join what? On which table now? So the first one is geography, is it not? So
Yes.
inner join what? Awesome.
Awesome.
Or geography, is it not?
Yes.
Join it on what? Join it
On
on.
on SPID. No. On
Remember to call it in full. Oh,
on
so
yes. Awesome.
dot what? For sales, what do we have? Geo what? ID, is it not?
ID. Yes.
Equals to what?
Awesome chocolate dot
Yes. Geo
geo.
dot what? Geo ID, is it not? So
Yes.
that's the first one. Can you see that?
Yes.
So if I want to pick the next one, what will I do? The next table now. I'll go to the next one. Which is the next one now?
People.
Maybe
Awesome chocolate people.
people. Okay, let's say people now. So let's say I want to pick people now. So the next one will now be what? Inner join. Inner join what? People, is it not? Join it on what?
Awesome chocolates.
Yes. Sales, is it not? Dot what? What's the relationship between them now?
People is SPID.
SPID, is it not? SPID equals to what?
Awesome chocolates.
Dot people dot what?
Dot people.
SPID.
ID.
Can you see that?
Yes.
So if I want to join the last table again, what do I do?
Inner join.
Inner join. Inner join what?
Awesome chocolate product.
Not what? Product, is it not?
Yes.
Please check. Is it product or products?
Products.
Because that S alone makes a difference. Product, is it not? On what? Join it on what?
On awesome chocolate dot sys.
Yes. Says, so how do I join them? So product is what?
PID. PID.
PID equals to what?
Awesome chocolate dot product.
Dot
PID.
what? Dot
PID.
Wonderful. So hopefully the enemies will not be at work, is it not?
Yes.
So you see what we have drawn as diagram is what help us what to write it. Can you see that? So I can clear this now. Good. So let's look at it one more time. So I hope you understand the syntax now. We first of all select the column names that we want, isn't it?
Yes.
Before we are using
Yes.
star. But the problem is that when it now becomes too much, it now becomes inefficient. Because imagine it has
exactly what we want.
Yeah.
I said this time around we went for exact information
Exactly
that we
what we want, exactly, yes. Because imagine that one table has 1 billion records, another one 1 billion records, another one 1 billion records. So in terms of the infrastructure, it may be too slow. So performance are not issue again, isn't it? So that's why you may not necessarily have to take everything. Because even if you take everything, you still need to go and clean it again now, isn't it? Drop what you don't need, then start again. So that's the essence of you learning your joins. So you select exactly what you need. So once I have done that, so I can now highlight everything and now run. Hopefully the enemies will not be at work. So have you seen that now?
Yes, awesome.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So now you can now export it now. You can now export it. So this is what they now export to you and say customer data and save. They now take it to Excel and go and start analyzing. So that's your join for you. So it's very important skill that you must learn as a data analyst. All right. I hope this is okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
Joshua.
Dr. Francis, thank you so much.
Yes.
We
Thank you,
appreciate it.
sir.
All right. That's fine. All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Doctor.